Good morning. This is Rich Nelson with Allendale with a special update regarding USDA's reports here. USDA has two reports out: the monthly crop production report, where they revise supplies here for new crop numbers throughout various farm commodities, and along with that, they also release the monthly supply demand report. This, of course, incorporates those supply changes as well as changes in demand to give us those final ending stock numbers. Now, for today's numbers on corn, we've got to point out numbers 167.4 bushels per acre. That was actually below every single guess of the various 26 analysts surveyed by Reuters Newswire ahead of this report. The average guess was for yields at 170.1. Production, 14.032 billion bushels. The average guess going into this report was 14.253. Of course, ending stocks with this low production number certainly missed the mark as well. Average guess for this was for ending stocks at 2.0 billion bushels. Of course, higher than the old crop numbers of 1.2. We've got numbers from USDA, though, at 1.8 billion bushels. So corn production and therefore new crop corn supplies and those issues missed all of the marks here, according to the analyst. And markets, of course, is lower at the time of this recording. The numbers actually are, well, it's an increase over the last month, but quite honestly, the trade will not be taking this report as being a bullish one. The trade feels very, very clearly that yields are much higher than USDA's number here, 167.4, and that this is only one small move in a general long-term move, which will take months for USDA to actually recognize the true extent of this year's supply. So bottom line on corn, the numbers are smaller than expected, but no one's going to trade this as being a bullish report. The trade, and certainly Allendale as well, is solidly convinced we have a nationwide yield right now of 170 at a minimum, and certainly Allendale's viewpoint quite higher than that once numbers get all tallied by January here. So as far as corn, yes, the numbers are bullish, but this will be ignored here for the most part. As far as soybeans, numbers right now, 45.4 was the yield number that they submitted. This is actually kind of close to the average guess of 45.6. It is a little higher than USDA's July number, 45.2. So a very slight increase in yields. That one's actually not too much to argue about. The trade was expecting these numbers really for the most part. On the production side of things here, we've got 3.816 billion bushels. Very close to the average guess, 3.823. Over on the yield or on the ending stock side of things here, new crop ending stocks are seen now at 430 million bushels. That's actually a little higher than the average guess of 414. And of course, compared with last year, this is a dramatic increase. Of course, last year was 140 million bushels. So for corn numbers, lower than expected. Soybeans pretty much on the average guess here. Now, as far as wheat, they actually did have some changes for production there. 2.030 billion bushels, above the average guess at 2.010. So we've got actually, in fact, over the July estimate, this is 38 million bushel increase for total wheat production. It was interesting to see USDA made this number change mainly due to winter wheat here. Winter wheat actually over 30 million bushels higher. As far as spring wheat, that only accounted, I see in my notes, only for 7 million bushels of the net increase as far as that goes. So the winter wheat numbers, much higher than expected here. Certainly at this point, the trade is pointing out that USDA found some very good production in many of those yields as they moved their surveys up further north throughout the days. Now, as far as wheat ending stocks, not too much of a change on this one here. Last month, USDA was talking 660 million bushels. This was increased up to 663, which is actually right on the average guess here. Now, as far as markets are going to trade, we, of course, are going to take a little lower tone here to start here, mainly focusing on soybeans here, as these numbers were more or less considered accurate by the trade, and they simply reflect the fact that we are now on our way to building soybean stocks dramatically. And certainly from Allendale's viewpoint, 953 is a very valid downside target for November soybeans. Now, as far as corn, we still suggest that, we really should have seen a 171.4 in this report and an eventual number in January of 174.1. And that's where we get our December downside target of $3.34 for December corn. But the key issue here is how we get to that downside price is a very key question. Whether we get that rebound many had been expecting here this month or not is a very key question. If you have any questions about today's report markets, or marketing in general, feel free to give Allendale a call here. Our number is 1-800-262-7538.